Aussie superstar Keith Urban finally hit the stage in America for the first time since the news broke about his divorce from Nicole Kidman. And nope, not a single word about the chaos in his personal life. For almost 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban looked untouchable, like the ultimate proof that love could actually survive fame, distance, and the non-stop spotlight of Hollywood. They smiled on red carpets, shared stages, and openly called each other soulmates. But in 2025, that picture-perfect fairytale cracked wide open because of just one lyric. A subtle change in a love song that sent shockwaves straight across the globe. So what really ended their marriage? Was it the pressure of two massive careers crashing into each other? Or was it something way more personal? A secret that had been quietly growing between them for years. Fans replayed that now viral concert clip again and again, searching for answers in his voice, in her silence, in that empty space where love used to live. But the real truth behind this heartbreak didn't start with scandal. It started with two people trying to find peace in a world that never stops watching. Before we go any deeper, don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, this story only gets wilder from here. Nicole's first love, Tom Cruise, and the scars that never really healed. Before Keith Urban ever stepped into her life, Nicole Kidman had already lived through a love story that shaped, and almost shattered, her idea of forever. It was 1990. She was just 23, a rising Australian actress with red hair, raw talent, and a heart that still believed in fairy tales. On the set of Days of Thunder, she met Tom Cruise, one of the biggest stars on the planet. Confident, magnetic, already a global name. To the world, their chemistry was instant. To Nicole, it felt like destiny. But behind all that sparkle, there were red flags, and people who saw what she couldn't. Her agents, friends, even family warned her not to marry him. They said it would wreck her career, that she was too young, and that stepping into Tom's world meant losing her own. Nicole didn't listen. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing love. Real, blinding, all in love. So she dove headfirst, not knowing the next decade would test her soul in ways she never imagined. Their wedding was lavish, the press crowned them Hollywood's golden couple. They adopted two children, Isabella and Connor, and for a while, Nicole's life looked flawless. She once said she felt safe with Tom, that being with him gave her a sense of belonging in a world where everything felt temporary. But that safety came with a price. Slowly, her individuality faded. She wasn't Nicole Kidman, the fearless actress anymore. She was Nicole, Tom's wife. Every red carpet, every interview, all defined by the marriage. Behind the smiles, she felt her identity slipping away. Years later, she admitted that in her 20s she lived in a bubble, protected from reality by fame and a love that often blurred into control. Then, after 11 years of marriage, that bubble burst. In 2001, Tom Cruise filed for divorce out of nowhere. No warning. Nicole was blindsided. The woman who gave everything, her heart, her career momentum, her trust, suddenly stood alone. The world saw headlines and rumors, but very few understood the emotional wreckage underneath. The divorce didn't just end a marriage, it shattered a family. Her children, still so young, grew distant in the years that followed. Nicole rarely spoke about it, but those close to her said it haunted her, that she carried guilt for years, wondering if love always came with loss. And yet, she didn't turn bitter. She turned inward. She chose roles that mirrored her rebirth, dark, raw, fearless. The Hours, Moulin Rouge weren't just movies, they were therapy. A woman relearning how to live. Still, under all that success, something stayed fragile. A quiet longing for stability, for someone who wouldn't see her as a trophy, but as a human worth protecting. After surviving one of Hollywood's most public breakups, Nicole wasn't looking for another star. She wanted stillness, a love that felt like home. So when Keith Urban entered her life years later, humble, soft-spoken, carrying his own damage. She didn't see a celebrity. She saw safety. She saw a man who'd been broken too, but was still trying to heal. And that's where their story really began. Not on a red carpet, but with two souls hoping they could finally rest in each other's arms. Keith Urban's past, the rock star haunted by addiction. Long before he became the man beside Nicole Kidman, Keith was fighting demons most people never saw. A fight that started way before fame, guitars, or country charts. Born in Whangarei, New Zealand, and raised in Australia, his story wasn't glam, it was grit. Music filled his childhood, but so did chaos. His father struggled with alcoholism, something Keith has spoken about openly, and that shadow followed him everywhere. I grew up in an alcoholic house, and it took me a long time to believe I was wired the same, he once said. That line says it all. He wasn't just scared of losing control, he was scared of becoming what he'd watched growing up. As his career took off, so did the pressure and temptation. Fame doesn't heal wounds, it just hides them under applause. By his 20s, Keith was a rising country star, charming, talented, and Nashville was paying attention. But behind the smile was a man using alcohol and substances to quiet his mind. In his head, they weren't just bad habits, they were exits. I thought it made me creative, he joked once. But really, it made me lost. His relationships reflected that same pattern. Before Nicole, he dated model Nikki Taylor, and was later linked to Laura Seigler, who described him as seductive, but never ready to settle. Always chasing peace, never catching it. By 1998, things hit rock bottom. Friends and family pushed him into rehab, the first time he publicly faced his addiction. After treatment, he released his debut solo album in 1999. Modest success, fresh start, or so it seemed. But old habits don't die easy. The early 2000s were wild. Career soaring, awards, hits, sold-out tours. Personally, he was falling apart. The stage saved him and destroyed him at the same time. Applause drowned out the doubt, but once the lights went off, the silence screamed. Fame is lonely like that. Everyone sees you, but nobody really knows you. When Keith met Nicole Kidman in 2005 at a charity gala, he wasn't healed. He was barely holding it together. Still, her presence cut through his chaos. She was calm, grounded, everything he wasn't. I thought she was way out of my league, he later admitted. He kept her number for months, too scared to call. Fear of rejection, fear of responsibility, fear of being seen fully. But when he finally did call, the connection was instant. Nicole, after years around men performing confidence, recognized real sincerity. Keith, for once, found someone who didn't want to fix him or idolize him. She just listened. They talked for hours about life, childhood, dreams, fears. Keith felt understood. Nicole felt human again. Still, addiction doesn't disappear just because love shows up. It waits. But Nicole saw past it, maybe because she knew chaos too well. When two wounded hearts meet, the bond runs deep, but it's risky. They don't just fall in love, they start believing love itself can heal everything. And that belief would test them both. The spark when two worlds finally collided. June 2005. A charity gala packed with champagne, cameras, and Hollywood polish. Nicole Kidman, graceful and healing, was there as an honoree. Keith Urban, guitar in hand, half-shy smile, performed. It could have ended like any other night. Polite hellos, quick chats, then gone. But fate had different plans. Their meeting was quiet, almost movie-like. Keith couldn't believe she'd ever be interested. Months passed, her number untouched. Nicole later admitted on the Ellen DeGeneres show that she had a massive crush on him and thought he wasn't interested. He didn't call me for 4 months, she laughed. So I thought it was done. When he finally called, everything clicked. Their first conversation lasted hours. No masks, no pretending, just two people exhaling after years of chaos. They talked about family, childhood, fame, and the price of it all. Keith opened up just enough to show the real man behind the music, and that honesty pulled her in. When they met again, it felt effortless. Friends said the chemistry was instant, calm, deep. Maybe too calm before the storm. Keith later said, "We just talked and talked and talked. It was effortless." That word became their foundation. Their love wasn't built on glamour, but on relief. Within months, it deepened. Nicole found gentleness. Keith found a reason to be better. Not for fame, not for music, but for her. Years later, Nicole called their meeting divine timing. At 38, after so much loss, she believed she'd been given a second shot at love. Keith said she was the missing piece he never knew he needed. "She was what I'd been searching for my whole life." 6 months after that very first phone call, Nicole was already sure, no hesitation, no second guessing, yeah, this was the one. On her 38th birthday, she woke up to Keith standing outside her New York apartment at 5 in the frickin' morning, holding a bouquet of flowers. No cameras, no red carpet, no Hollywood noise, just a simple move that said everything without saying much at all. "That's when I knew," she later told People magazine. "That's when I thought, this is the man I want to marry." Their love wasn't just built on sparks and butterflies. Nah. It was built on the belief that two broken hearts could somehow stitch together something whole. And when they finally decided to make it official, it wasn't just a wedding, it was a promise. But the universe has a funny way of testing what looks unbreakable. Because even though their love started calm and steady, storms were already lining up, storms neither of them saw coming. They thought they'd found forever. But just months after saying, "I do," reality showed up like, yeah, love alone isn't always enough. Quick pause. If you're finding this story as wild as we are, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these hidden Hollywood truths. A fast-track romance, a wedding, secrets, and second chances. When Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban decided to get married, it wasn't after years of slow dating or careful planning. It was fast, intense, and kinda beautifully reckless. They met in 2005, got engaged within months, and by June 2006, they were already saying, "I do," in a candlelit ceremony in Sydney, surrounded by friends, family, and a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this time love would stick. The wedding was intimate but classy. Held at St. Patrick's Estate in Manly, Nicole walked down the aisle in a soft white Balenciaga gown, her face glowing, not with fame, but with something more delicate. Peace. For Keith, the moment felt unreal. The guy who once thought he wasn't good enough for her was now standing beside her as her husband. Guests later recalled how he whispered, "I love you," before she even reached the altar. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't a show. It was just two souls choosing to start over. After years of chaos, Nicole literally burned her past. She later revealed that she destroyed her old diaries, calling them filled with bad things. It wasn't about erasing history, it was about letting go. Her relationship with Keith marked a brand new chapter, one built not on celebrity or survival, but on vulnerability. In her own words, she said, "My life before Keith was about exploring different kinds of love, obsession, loneliness, even control. But this was different." Keith felt it too. In those early months, he described marriage as dangerous and raw, words that hit deep. To him, being with Nicole wasn't comfortable, it was transformative. "When you commit to someone like that," he told an interviewer, "you live and die together by that decision." Their bond was intense, almost spiritual, the kind of love artists write about and dreamers envy. But love that burns that bright. Yeah, it can leave scars. Within just 4 months of their wedding, cracks started to show. Keith had been sober when they met, but addiction is like a ghost, it never fully disappears. As his old demons crept back in, Nicole was forced to choose, walk away or fight for him. And she chose to fight. In October 2006, she staged an intervention. With help from close friends, she convinced Keith to check himself into rehab, not out of shame, but out of love. She knew exactly what it meant to stand beside someone who was falling apart, and she wasn't about to lose another partner to darkness. Keith later admitted, "I had no idea what was going to happen to us. I thought I might lose her. But she stayed. Through whispers, judgment, and the heavy silence of uncertainty, she stayed." While tabloids went wild, Nicole kept it cool. Publicly, she barely said a word. Privately, she prayed that this time, love could save them both. Friends described her as resilient to the point of exhaustion. For Keith, that moment changed everything. Rehab wasn't just a second shot at sobriety, it was a second shot at life. When he came home 3 months later, something had shifted. He said getting sober freed him creatively, and much of that credit went to Nicole. She became his anchor, his calm after years of chaos. They moved into a quiet home in Tennessee, far from Hollywood's madness, choosing slow mornings, family dinners, and a simple life. For the first time in decades, both of them were learning how to breathe again. Still, beneath that peace, fragility lingered. Love can heal, sure, but it also remembers. Keith's past hovered in the shadows, and Nicole's heart, brave as it was, carried old scars. Their story wasn't just a romance anymore. It was a test. Could two people who had already survived storms finally find calm together? For a while, it looked like they had. But under the surface of that quiet Tennessee home, time was already setting the stage for the next heartbreak. The first intervention, love versus addiction. Barely 4 months after the vows, reality knocked hard on the door of their fairy tale. To the world, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were the ultimate couple, glamorous, successful, deeply in love. But behind the soft smiles and glossy magazine covers, something darker was creeping back in. Keith was slowly slipping into old habits he'd fought for years to bury. Nicole noticed the small stuff first: exhaustion after shows, late nights that didn't add up, words that didn't quite match actions. She'd seen this movie before, but this time it hit different. This was her husband. And she meant every word of those vows. Still, she knew love alone couldn't cure addiction. By October 2006, the whispers were impossible to ignore. Friends grew concerned. Keith's behavior became unpredictable, and his performances carried attention only those closest to him could see. Then came the breaking point. Nicole, heartbroken but determined, gathered his inner circle and staged an intervention. It wasn't public. It wasn't angry. It was desperate love. She wanted to save her husband before fame and the past swallowed him whole. Keith agreed to rehab, checking into the Betty Ford clinic for 3 months. Later, he admitted he had no clue what would happen to their marriage. "I thought I might lose her," he said. "I didn't know if she would wait, but she did." Nicole stood by him quietly, shielding him from the media. To her, this wasn't a scandal, it was a soul worth protecting. While Keith was away, Nicole moved through life with quiet dignity. No interviews. No drama. Just hope. Those close to her said she visited him often, helping him stay focused on recovery. Keith later said her support freed him creatively, and showed him that real love actually exists. When he came home in early 2007, he was sober but fragile, rebuilding everything piece by piece. Nicole welcomed him back with patience and grace. They ditched the Hollywood spotlight and leaned into Tennessee life, choosing peace over publicity. They bought a farm outside Nashville, surrounded by open land and quiet skies. That calm became their healing space. 2 years later, they welcomed their first daughter, Sunday Rose, followed by Faith Margaret in 2010. Nicole said motherhood anchored her, giving her the family she'd always dreamed of, full of love, laughter, and second chances. Keith often said Nicole saved his life. Years later at South by Southwest, he told the crowd, "I was lucky I had a very loving wife. Getting sober freed me up creatively, it changed everything. That wasn't scripted. That was gratitude, straight up." Still, even as life found its rhythm, fragility never fully left. Nicole had saved him once, but deep down, she feared she might have to do it again. Loving someone through demons leaves marks. And while they smiled on red carpets and wrote songs about each other, every perfect photo hid a quiet truth: survival came at a price. Endurance doesn't erase pain. It just teaches you how to carry it. The family years, calm before the storm. After the intervention, life finally felt balanced. Red carpets were replaced with quiet mornings, fame with family, chaos with calm. Their Tennessee home became a safe haven. In July 2008, Nicole gave birth to Sunday Rose, a name symbolizing peace and renewal. 2 years later, Faith Margaret arrived via surrogate, a miracle by Nicole's own words. Keith poured his gratitude into music. Songs like The Fighter and Gemini weren't just hits, they were therapy sessions set to sound. He called Nicole his anchor, the woman who taught him peace. Fans loved that softness. It felt like a redemption arc, rock star saved by love. When Nicole's father passed away in 2014, Keith's devotion was undeniable. He flew across the world to be with her, and even sang Amazing Grace at the funeral. That moment said everything. Love, loyalty, no questions asked. Their Tennessee life was simple: horses, family dinners, backyard music nights. Nicole said she loved how real it felt. Just mom and dad. But cracks were there, subtle but real. Fame never fully leaves. Touring kept Keith away for long stretches. Nicole stayed close to home with their daughters. Over time, friends said they felt like two ships passing in the night, still loving, still supportive, but missing something. Their passion softened into companionship. Still, Nicole held on. On their 19th anniversary in June 2025, she posted a smiling photo with Keith captioned, "Forever my love." Fans celebrated. But behind that post, whispers had already started. Days later, during an Australian radio interview, a host jokingly asked Keith how he felt watching Nicole's on-screen love scenes with younger actors. He froze. His voice cracked. The call abruptly dropped. Awkward. Unsettling. Viral. Fans noticed. The media called it what it looked like: a crack in the perfect picture. By late summer, sightings of the couple were getting mad rare. Nicole showed up at events solo, while Keith was clocking serious hours in recording studios. Neither of them said a word about the rumors, but in Hollywood, silence hits way harder than denial. The peace they fought so hard to build was starting to shake again. Not with rage or chaos, but with that low-key, quiet distance. Love, no matter how strong, can only hang on for so long when two people start living in totally separate worlds. And soon, that space between them cracked open wide enough for the whole world to see. The separation, the headlines, the heartbreak. By the time the video of Keith changing his lyrics blew up online, the news was already locked in. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban had separated after 19 years of marriage. On September 29, 2025, multiple outlets confirmed what fans had been dreading. The couple that once looked inseparable were now living completely separate lives. For most people, it came out of nowhere. For those close to them, it was just the public reveal of a heartbreak that had been slowly brewing for months. According to People, the separation was confirmed on September 29, 2025, followed by Nicole officially filing for divorce on September 30, 2025. Reports published by People's editorial team became the main verified timeline of the split. Insiders told People that Nicole had been fighting hard to save the marriage, even after the emotional distance became straight-up unbearable. She was described as hurt and betrayed, trying to understand how a love that survived addiction, loss, and 2 decades of pressure could fall apart so fast. Friends said she was crushed but determined to stay graceful. That grace became her armor. The same quiet strength that carried her through her first divorce was carrying her again. Keith, meanwhile, stayed mostly quiet. No official statement, no direct response to the scandal. His only public words came days later through a concert dedication, a vague but emotional speech about learning how to let go with love. It felt real, but also kinda haunting. Fans were split. Was it an apology, a goodbye, or both? Then the speculation went wild. Entertainment outlets rushed to fill the silence with their own versions of the story. TMZ reported the couple had been living apart since early summer, with Nicole staying at their Nashville home, while Keith quietly moved into a downtown apartment. Star magazine dropped a dramatic piece claiming their intimacy had disappeared years ago. Online, theories exploded. Some blamed Keith's non-stop touring. Others whispered about jealousy, burnout, or time just doing what it does best. A few days later, Rob Shooter, a known Hollywood gossip reporter, went on his podcast claiming Keith had been romantically linked to more than one woman. The wording was careful. Allegedly. Reports suggest. Insiders believe. But the message was loud and clear. True or not, the damage was done. The narrative was set. The loyal wife. The drifting husband. The story everyone loves to talk about, but never wants to live. Still, even with rumors flying everywhere, Nicole refused to clap back. No angry interviews. No shady comments. No public tears. Her silence said more than any denial ever could. Friends described her as calm on the outside but deeply wounded. One close source told Entertainment Weekly that Nicole didn't expect perfection, she just expected honesty to be part of the fight. And when that vanished, everything else followed. The press went all in, picking apart their past. Old interviews resurfaced. Keith talking about being addicted to chaos. Nicole reflecting on dangerous love. What once sounded romantic now felt like a warning sign. Even lyrics from Keith's older songs were reread through a darker lens. Meanwhile, Nicole focused on her daughters. She was spotted attending church with them in Nashville. Calm face, steady posture, no makeup, no entourage. Just a mom trying to shield her kids from the noise. She told friends she was done chasing closure. Peace mattered more than explanations. But the heartbreak wasn't just on one side. People close to Keith said he was broken but proud, privately dealing with guilt. He knew what the headlines said, but he also knew how much she once saved him. That truth, one friend said, is something he'll carry forever. By October, divorce papers were moving forward, and the once unbreakable power couple had become another Hollywood statistic. Yet under all the gossip and noise, there was a quieter truth. Two people who loved each other deeply, but couldn't keep that love alive under fame, expectations, and unspoken pain. As one of Nicole's friends told Vanity Fair, she's not angry, she's heartbroken, but she knows she did everything she could. Sometimes love just runs its course. It was a tragic full circle. The young woman, who once lost herself in Tom Cruise's shadow, had spent 2 decades trying to build something real, only to watch it fall apart again. But this time, she wasn't shattered. She was smarter. Because when love ends, it doesn't always explode. Sometimes it fades quietly, with two people walking away from something they still wish had worked. And for Nicole Kidman, this heartbreak wasn't just another chapter. It was the final test of how much a heart can take and still stay open. The pattern repeats. Love is a rescue mission. After the headlines died down, a familiar pattern showed itself. One stretching back decades, different faces, different years, same emotional rhythm. Nicole Kidman always loved hard, but she also loved to save. Whether it was Tom Cruise in his world of control or Keith Urban in his world of chaos, her love became a lifeline, keeping others afloat while slowly dragging her under. Those close to her said she carried an invisible weight, a need to fix what was broken and protect what was fragile. It wasn't weakness, it was empathy pushed to the limit. When she loved, she gave everything. Time, energy, peace. But when you spend years healing someone else, you forget to heal yourself. By 2025, Nicole had spent most of her adult life doing exactly that. Keith never denied what she did for him. He said it himself. She saved him from addiction, from self-destruction, from the emptiness fame brings. But when saving someone becomes routine, it turns into obligation. And love that feels like obligation slowly turns into exhaustion. For Nicole, a marriage that began with passion and healing quietly turned into caretaking. Another emotional war fought behind closed doors. Friends described her as patient but tired. One longtime confidant told Vanity Fair, she always believed love could fix people, but at some point she realized she couldn't do it alone. The irony hit hard. One of the most powerful women in Hollywood couldn't control the one thing that mattered most, keeping love alive. The more she tried to protect Keith from his demons, the more she lost pieces of herself. He had music, crowds, and the escape of touring. She had silence, reflection, and the ache of holding a family together. And still, Nicole never played the victim. No revenge. No bitterness. She spoke about forgiveness, faith, and the belief that love is never wasted, even when it ends. Everything teaches you, she once said. Every person. Every heartbreak. Every ending. Words that once sounded poetic now felt like acceptance. Even in pain, she moved with grace. While gossip blogs speculated, Nicole focused on her daughters and her craft. She chose roles that reflected resilience, women-tested but unbroken. Keith's silence said plenty. His performances grew heavier, more emotional, almost nostalgic. Fans noticed he avoided playing the fighter for months, like the song carried too much history. At one show, he paused mid-song and said, "Sometimes love doesn't end, it just changes form." Subtle, but for those watching closely, it felt like closure wrapped in poetry. Nicole always believed love was meant to heal. But sometimes love's greatest healing is knowing when to let go. Not out of anger, but mercy. Her story from Tom to Keith wasn't failure. It was growth. Strength isn't holding on forever. It's knowing when your part in someone's story is done. She never stopped believing in love. Just a different version. One that doesn't demand fixing or surviving. One that feels steady, calm, and mutual. After all the heartbreak and noise, Nicole wasn't broken. She was refined. A woman who loved fully and still had the courage to stay open. Because for Nicole Kidman, endings were never really endings. Just new beginnings written in quieter ink. Closing reflection. From scandal to strength. When the dust settled, headlines faded, and Hollywood chased its next drama, Nicole Kidman didn't. She didn't chase attention or defend herself. She did what she's always done. She turned pain into quiet power. For months, she stayed out of sight, focused on her daughters and her work. Friends said she felt at peace for the first time in years. Not because life was perfect, but because she accepted that not every love story lasts forever. Sometimes the strongest ending is walking away with dignity, not destruction. Hollywood wanted drama. Nicole gave grace. She wasn't running from heartbreak. She walked straight through it, head high, heart intact. In a rare interview later, She said, "Pain isn't permanent. You learn from it. You grow through it. Then you let it go." Those weren't just words. They were a statement. She loved deeply, lost quietly, and rebuilt herself without noise. Her story wasn't scandal anymore. It was survival. Choosing peace in a world addicted to chaos. Keith carried his lessons too. The man who once sang about being the fighter learned some battles can't be won with music or promises. His later performances felt humbler, each note carrying memory, not guilt, but gratitude. He spoke often about letting go with love. And maybe that's exactly what they both did. Looking back, their story wasn't tragic. It was human. Two people met in pain, healed together, and drifted apart when the healing was done. The love was real. The struggle was real. And so was the ending. For Nicole, every heartbreak taught her something. From Tom Cruise to Keith Urban, she learned love isn't rescue or endurance. It's freedom. Real love doesn't trap you. It steadies you. And when it ends, it teaches you how to stand alone again. I believe in love completely. I just believe it looks different every time. Those words now feel like her final closure. Not regret. Not sadness. Understanding. She didn't lose herself in love this time. She found herself. As Hollywood moved on, Nicole Kidman stood quietly in her own story, stronger, wiser, and finally free. Not just a wife. Not just a star. But a woman who faced heartbreak and still chose hope. Because every ending leaves a lesson. And for Nicole Kidman, the lesson was simple. Some stories don't end because they failed. They end because they fulfilled their purpose. If this story hit you, take a moment to sit with it. Because sometimes the most powerful love stories aren't the ones that last forever, but the ones that teach us how to begin again. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe, because there are more real human stories behind the fame that deserve to be told, just like this one.